So today I'd like to talk to you about dividing fractions and mixed numbers. And here I have the rules for what you need to do when you're doing that. So the first thing you need to do when you're dividing fractions and mixed numbers is that you need to make all your numbers into fractions. So just as a quick review, here I have two numbers and I want to make them into fractions. So 1 and 1/3. 1 and 1/3 is what we call a mixed number because it's a whole number and a fraction. So to change a mixed number into a fraction, I am going to multiply and then add. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 1, which is 3, and then add the 1 that is the numerator here, which gives me a total of 4 out of 3. So the 3 doesn't change, it just slides straight across, and the 4, which is the product, and then the sum, it comes across as well. So 1 and 1/3 is equal to 4/3. And the reason for that is if I were to draw this out and divide each of these into this. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that are all 1/3 in size. So that's why 1 and 1/3 is equal to 4/3. The second number I have is 9. And so 9 is a whole number. And I know that anything divided by 1 keeps it being itself. So the denominator of all whole numbers is 1. So if ever you have a whole number, you just stick a 1 underneath it. So going back here, first thing I have to do is I have to make both of my numbers into fractions. So 1/4 is already in a fraction, so I don't need to mess with that one, but 1 and 1/3. So I'm going to do the same thing I was doing earlier. I'm going to draw that backwards C, or draw the C backwards, and then I'm going to multiply and then add. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more gives me 4/3 divided by 1/4. So that's step 1. Make all your numbers into fraction. Step 2 says same times reciprocal. So just as a quick review, a reciprocal is also known as a multiplicative inverse. So a reciprocal is a multiplicative inverse. And a multiplicative inverse is a pair of numbers that you can multiply together to equal 1. So if I think about the number 1/2, 1/2, and I think about what I could multiply that by to equal 1. I know that 1 is equal to the same number of itself, so 2/2. So what would I have to multiply 1/2 by to make it equal 2? Well, I'd multiply it by 2/1. Okay, and here's the whole number of 4. So I remember from earlier that the denominator of all whole numbers is 1. So I have to think, what would I multiply this by? So it would be 4/4 or 1. Well, I could multiply it by 1/4. So you should be beginning to see a pattern between the number you began with and its reciprocal, and the number you began with and its reciprocal. Okay, and then the last one is 1 and 1/3. So reciprocals, in this case, we need to make them into fractions. So I'm going to do the same thing I have been doing. So that would give me 4/3. And then if I multiplied that, now this one's different because these were, this is a unit fraction and that was a whole number. So now I've got to look, and I've got to look up here and see what happens. So here I see a relationship between the 1/2 and the 2/1, and a relationship between the 4/1 and the 1/4. So I'm going to try out the relationship. So 4/3, I'm going to multiply by 3/4. And when I do that multiplication, I do indeed get 12/12, which is of course 1. So I see that reciprocals are just where I've taken the fraction and I've inverted it, hence the name multiplicative inverse. So I just kind of flip that fraction on over, and that's not the mathematical term for it, but that's what you're doing. So same times reciprocal. Before I begin, I'm going to draw a bubble around that word same, and that's like a force field, and I know that force fields protect me, so if I had a force field around me, nothing can get at me. So that's what we always do with the first number in a division problem. We draw a force field around it because it's never, ever, ever going to change, because what this first number means is it's the dividend, it's the number that's being divided. So that means that's what I have, and I want to figure out how many 1/4 are in it. So the first number never, ever changes. So I rewrite it, 4/3. Then I see the word times, so I'm going to change my division sign to a multiplication sign. And then reciprocal, so I'm going to write the reciprocal of this second number. And so if I recall, a reciprocal is just simply taking the number and inverting it. So I'm going to take 1/4 and invert it and make it be 4/1. Okay, the next step says that I need to, that was step 2. The next step says that I need to multiply, and I like to multiply fractions. It's one of my favorite things to do because all you're doing is multiplying. Just multiply straight across. So I have 4/3 times 4/1. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 1 is 3. And then the last step says to simplify. So this is an improper fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator. So I know that all fractions mean divide, write the denominator outside. So I'm going to divide this out and see how many 3's are in 16. So I look at my problem, and how many 3's are there in 1? Well, there aren't any. And then 3 times what's going to give me something close to 16? Well, that's going to be 5. And 3 times 5 is 15. So there are 5 whole groups of 3 in this, and when I subtract I get 1, so my answer is 5 and 1/3. Notice that my denominator has not changed. So it was a 3, it was a 3, and it was a 3, and this divisor here is going to keep it being the 3. So my remainder becomes my new numerator. So 5 and 1/3. So 1 and 1/3 divided by 1/4 is equal to 5 and 1/3. Okay. Second question, same kind of problem. I have 1 and 2/3 being divided by 6. Step 1, make the numbers into fractions. So I'm going to draw that C, multiply then add. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, over 3. Denominator did not change. Divided by 6, that's a whole number, so I know its denominator is 1. So that was step 1, make my numbers into fractions. Step 2, same times reciprocal. Remember, we have that same, so we have this force field, never ever changes. So I'm going to have 5/3 times the reciprocal of 6/1, which is 1/6. So that's step 2. Multiply, step 3, straight across. 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 6 is 18. And the last step, step 4, is to simplify. This answer cannot be simplified. 5/18 is in simplest form because 5, written in its prime factors, is 5. 18 written in its prime factors is 2 times 3 times 3. They have nothing in common. Therefore, this fraction is in simplest form, and that is my answer. Okay, so 5/18. The next one is right here. It is 1 and 1/5 divided by 1 and 1/2. Make them into fractions, so I'm going to change those. Now, this one's a little different. Both numbers are mixed numbers, so I have to do some changing to both of them. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more gives me 6. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more gives me 3. And that's step 1. So 6/5 divided by 2, or 3/2. Same times reciprocal, same, never, ever, ever changes. So there's that force field, it just pops straight down, times the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3. Step 3, multiply. 6 times 2, that is 12. 5 times 3, that is 'So I have 12/15 and 12/15. If I think about a number that will divide into both of those, 3 is a factor of 12 and 15, so 12 divided by 3 is 4, 15 divided by 3 is 5, so 12/15 simplifies to be 4/5. The next 3 slides are for you to practice with, so what I'd like you to do is to copy this problem on your paper and then hit pause. So hit pause now. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to do these problems and you're just checking yourself. So once again, multiply 24/27 over 8 divided by 1/5. Same times reciprocal. So I'm going to keep the 27/8 the same. And I'm going to write the reciprocal of 1/5, which is 5/1. Then I'm going to multiply 27 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Carry my 3. 10 plus 3 more is 13, so it's 135 over 8. And 135/8, that is a very improper fraction. So I know that all fractions mean divide. So I'm going to divide 135 by 8. See how many sets of 8 are in 135. So 8 goes into 1, no. 8 into 13 goes once. 1 times 8 rather, is 8. Subtract, I get 5. Bring down my next number, which is 5. 8 times what is close to 55? Well, 8 times 7 is 56, so that's too big, so I'm going to use 6. 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract, I get 7, so my answer is 16 and 7/8. Okay. Question 2. Please copy and now pause. So 2 2/3 divided by 5 is 8 over 3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8, divided by 5 over 1. Same times reciprocal. 8 over 3 times 1 over 5. Multiply. 8 times 1 is 8. 3 times 5 is 15. And simplify. 8/15 cannot be simplified, so I am done. Okay, and the last one. Please pause. And I'm going to divide 1 1/4 by 1 1/3. So change it to an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5 over 4. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4 over 3. And I'm going to divide that. And now same times reciprocal. 5/4 times 3/4. And multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 4 is 16. These are neighbors, so I know I'm simplified, so I am done. Thank you.